and she's hoping we can focus on arm positioning, specifically good old righty here. Now, her goal as a drummer is just having fun and being a hobbyist. So let's check out Ivy's video. Nice job. So there was some really, really cool stuff that's going on in that playthrough. That song has some really cool parts, has some really cool shots, some great changes. I thought you played cool beats. The fills were really neat. I especially loved just even how your kit was set up. There were some cool little splashes and things going on there. Yeah, very, very cool job on that, especially for someone who considers himself a beginner. I thought you were doing great. But we could definitely talk about hand and arm positioning. Now, before I jump into that, there is nothing wrong with what you're doing. There are plenty of people that play in the way that you are there, where like, Here, let's do it with the overhead on here. So normally when I play cross-handed, it looks like this. All right, so normally when I'm playing, I've got my hands crossed like this, and you'll notice that my hands are actually super close together. That's kind of sort of one of the tricks. Now, you're doing it like this, where your right hand's over that and your left hand's back here. So that's, I assume, so that you can have space to play loud notes with your left hand and different things with your right hand. And this is totally effective. Again, it works, but it's one of those things where it can have some downsides. So one of the downsides is that the way your hands are doing it, you can't hit your snare drum in the center. You're hitting it about here, and with a lot of muffling on there, yeah, sure, it sounds like a snare drum, but listen to what happens. I've got a snare drum here that doesn't have any muffling on it, so you'll really hear the difference when I do that. So hitting in the middle, got this great pop. But when you hit over here, it's almost grossly ringy. It's possibly why you've got so much of that muffling on there. So I would suggest trying to get your hands in closer. Now, you may, I mean, for me, because I've got two kick drums in here and a bunch of pedals, my hi-hat's actually a little further over. So if you notice, I kind of almost turn into it a little when I'm doing that, but I'm still trying to keep my hands close. For you, where you don't have so much stuff on the floor over here, you could definitely do it where you've got your hands kind of just basically as close together as possible, and you're playing the beats this way. A good person to watch for this is Questlove, like the dude from The Roots. He's in Jimmy Fallon's sort of, I guess, house band now. Yeah, watch his hands. He almost looks lazy when he plays, but at the same time, it's like, it's super efficient that way. And the nice thing about having your hands so close together is that you've got all this space. So you can make really loud notes while you're still playing quiet notes on your hi-hat, and you don't have to be kicking it out here to make it happen. Again, this works, but one of the other downsides, other than making it so that it's hard to hit your snare drum where you may want to hit it for the sound, is that it takes more effort for your arm. Like, it's physically difficult to do this. It's actually like, you know, it's requires more effort on your part. So it's actually like, you know, the type of thing that could tire you out and make it harder to play the drums. This, it's super relaxed and super chill and just makes it a little bit easier to do. Now that being said, I have a lesson here in the archive. If you go to live lessons, sort by instructor, it's called, and look for me, so Aaron Edgar, it's called Kit Ergonomics, Tweaking Your Setup. Now about 10 minutes into that lesson, I talk about this quite specifically in depth for a little while. So that's another way to kind of look at it. I mean, take the advice I gave you here. I'll describe it more in there while in the process of setting up a drum set. So that's definitely a good thing to be checking out while you're working on that sort of thing. Now another thing is that you're holding pretty far back on the stick, which is cool for rock beats and stuff, but it makes it tough when you're trying to play things like doubles or when you get into a little bit more intricate hand technique, let's say. So for that, I was just trying to find the fulcrum of your stick. Now we've got courses, we're gonna get to that, but for this, basically if you just like pretty much move your hands up about 2 inches, you wanna see maybe this much sticking out from your pinkies. So instead of it being like this, which again feels great for like hitting really hard, it makes it super hard for doubles. Like, you can do them, but it requires a lot more effort than playing them at the fulcrum. You can get a much more controlled and sort of light feel out of it when you play with the fulcrum. The other nice thing about the fulcrum is the stick rebounds better, so you can actually get the drums and the sticks to do a significant amount of the work for you, which is super, super nice. All right, so now for courses to get into with that specifically, there's a pair of them by Bruce Becker. The first one is called How to Hold Your Drumsticks, and the second one is called Hand Technique, The Motions of Drumming. I would definitely suggest jumping into How to Hold Your Drumsticks first, even if it's just a bit of a review. Find where he's talking about matched German grip. He may not talk about German specifically, I don't have it open in front of me, but matched grip is what you're looking for, and pay particular attention to where the fulcrum is and getting used to that. Then when you get into Hand Technique, The Motions of Drumming, he's going to show you how to apply these types of ideas to the drum kit, which is just going to make playing the drums easier for you. Kind of in the same way of like when you make your hands a little bit more close together while you're playing beats, it's going to feel more comfortable once you get used to it. Now, a little note of caution on that is that because you're used to playing a different way, both in where you're holding the sticks and how you're using your arms, these changes will feel awkward. And you're gonna, in the back of your mind, think, oh, the way I was playing feels more comfortable. Now, think about it like this. It feels more comfortable because you've been practicing it that way. taking a little bit of time and practicing this stuff is going to really help your drumming in the long run, because it's really going to help for things that'll be important as you get a little further, like into intermediate territory, and again, getting more into hand technique. Doing this and doing this. Well, maybe not so much this, but this especially, holding the sticks far back like that is going to be a difficult hurdle to cross. So fixing that as early as possible is a definitely great idea. Now, here's the thing. Since that's all like technique and theoretical and setup kind of stuff, I want to give you something that's a little bit more, well, I shouldn't say more fun, but a little bit just on the fun side of things. So there's a great course by Julia Gieman that I think you're going to love. It's called Moving Around the Drums for Beginners. Now, she starts out with this really cool 16th note triplet rhythm. Don't let that scare you. I promise the way she describes it and the way she gets you playing it, you'll be able to do it no problem. But she gets you ripping it around the kit in all sorts of really cool ways. So it's a ton of fun, and I think you're really, really going to love it. So I'm going to send you an email with links to all this stuff, including a link to this video. I want you to spend some time in these, get a little bit of progress. Of course, you can hit me back and forth if you've got any questions or if you have any trouble kind of getting the sticks right and all that kind of deal. But yeah, shoot us another video once you've made some progress, because I'm stoked to see where it goes from here. I saw you popping up in the chat saying that Voss was your buddy here on Drumeo. Voss is an awesome dude, so I'm glad you two are friends. That's great.